AITA for telling my sister nothing she ever does is more important. My wife's school. My wife decided earlier this year she wanted to get a master's degree in business. She's been working full-time and attending school full-time on nights and weekends. She's taking summer classes so she can graduate sooner. One evening when I wasn't home from work, my sister, a single mother who lives with my parents, came by unannounced and just dropped off her kids, 6 meters and 3 wide, because she had something to do. My wife was flustered because she was trying to get a mini paper done. And my sister said, "F you. Here are my kids," and left. I left work early and took the kids back to my parents. And I found out my sister had a random meetup with her best friend because her friend got dumped. She thought this was important enough to disrupt my wife. We argued over how irresponsible my sister is. And I told her, nothing you ever do in your life will be as important as my wife's school or career. My sister started crying about how I was being so unfair to her. It's hard for her as a single mom at her age. I told her, you made that mistake twice and thought everyone would help you. I'm not. And my wife's not. Raise your own kids. This made my sister cry harder. And my mom kicked me out of the house for disrespecting my sister and her children. This whole thing could have been avoided if my sister didn't act entitled to think she could drop off her kids in the first place. NTA. Her lack of responsibility isn't your emergency. The sheer lack of respect she showed your wife is outrageous, and if your mom thinks you were out of line, let her babysit your sister's kids last minute. Your wife had commitments, and even if she didn't, neither of you are ever obliged to take the kids on zero notice and without even a polite ask. NTA. Your sister showing up unannounced and telling your wife to F off is grounds for estrangement. At the minimum, your sister owes an apology to you and your wife. Your mom needs to butt out. NTA. But your sister is. She pulls the pity party about being a single mother. Yes, it sucks and is harder, but she made her life decisions and isn't entitled to just dump her kids on whomever whenever she feels like it. Your wife and family are your priority. Your sister isn't. Why didn't your sister just leave the kids with your parents at the house where she is living? There are so many stories on this sub that involve relatives just dropping their kids off with people unannounced. Who does that? NTA. There needs to be an option for "you were, but it's okay." The phrasing was harsh. And if you had scoped it to "comforting your friend isn't as important as my wife's schooling," then it would have gotten the point across. I was going to say esh. But this isn't the first time she's done this. That's unacceptable. If your parents have a problem with you, then they can be on the hook to provide on-demand babysitting next time. Unsolicited advice. I'm sorry for the way that I said that, but I was frustrated. I find it disrespectful that you assumed my wife was your on-demand babysitter outside of an emergency. To set the expectations. If you attempt to leave your children with either of us again without us agreeing to watch them, we will need to involve CPS, the police. Everyone saying ESH is deluded. Say it's classist if you'd like. But as a child of impoverished people, it's cruel to have children that you are unable to care for. It's cruel to the children for obvious reasons. And it's cruel to expect the stable people around you to sacrifice because of your choices. Op didn't say the children were mistakes. He simply said that their existence is her choice. And that's factual. If she felt like that was implied, it's probably because of her own thoughts towards the children she pawns off on everyone. NTA. NTA. But I do disagree with one thing you did. Unless your sister gets permission to drop her kids off, then she absolutely has no right to. You guys are not her free babysitters. Especially unannounced and for a breakup. If this was an emergency, then it would be different. The only thing you should have done differently is leave the kids out of it. You basically called them mistakes right in front of them. It sounds like your mom is a big part of this issue. She's enabling your sister, and that's why she's like this. Also, why didn't your mom watch them if they lived together? End time in law school. I work and parent, and go to school. Everyone in my life knows this is my priority. My husband would have done the exact same thing you did in this situation. Even if your wife wasn't in school, or was in school and not working full-time. Your sister's behavior was rude, disrespectful, and inappropriate. Good for you for standing up for your wife. Again, my husband would do the same. We even go as far as to say, please keep me out of group texts. Don't text, call me if it's not super important. If you do need something and you don't require my immediate attention, text, call my husband first and let him pass me the message. To me, those two words are missing from your sentence to your sister. Nothing you ever do in your life will be as important to me as my wife's school or career. Add them in and it's a clear NTA. Without them it's ash, because you told your sister that in general she is beneath your wife. Not in your personal priorities, which makes sense obviously, but for everyone else too. And we all know your sister was an too. I think you are in the right that unless there is a legitimate emergency, the kids can't be dropped off at your place without notice. And I agree that your wife works very hard. But to say, nothing you will ever do in your life will ever be as important as my wife or her career, wasn't necessary. I'm going with NTA. Sister is entitled to dump her kids on anyone without any agreement. She is the parent and no one else. If she had permission, it would be another story. Responsible parenting is a thing. I have no idea why everyone is on sister's side here. If your parents felt so disrespected by you telling your sister to raise her own kids, why didn't they just babysit? Your sister is major off for dropping off the kids without any warning and then being entitled about it, no less. NTA, sorry, your sister chose her lot in life and it's up to her to deal with it. Dumping her kids on anyone with no conversation or warning is unacceptable. She would speak to me just once, as she spoke to your wife. I am sure living with your parents they deal with a lot. But again, that is their choice. It's simply not up to you and your wife to clean up her messes. Reddit is absolutely the last place you should go for advice on this. Why didn't the sister ask her just dumped BFF to come to her house? Since she had 2 kids and no babysitter. Why do people who already consider their life hard make it even harder? Her friend couldn't come to where the sister was. Sister had to go to her? That is way more complicated than it needed to be. Sounds like sister wanted to go out to lunch or something. Ash. It's not okay for her to stop by unannounced and expect free babysitting. But also, what you said is a terrible thing to say to anyone. You don't want to help her become a better person. You just want her to feel low and small because of the choices she has made. She's clearly not a very responsible person. But you don't talk like that to someone you have even an ounce of love for. Your sister was tough for dropping her kids off with y'all. But for you to say nothing she ever does in her whole life will be as important as your wife's education or career is definitely a pretentious thing for you to say. NTA. Dropping her kids off without any notice or asking and then swearing at your wife. What planet is your sister on? Your mom is seriously enabling this wild behavior. Good on you for sticking up for your wife. No, someone need to give her a reality check. Ash. Your sister was inconsiderate, but you didn't have to phrase it like she's not capable of doing Anything important.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.